I'm Mark Womack, Sports Information Director at Cedarville University, and alongside is head men's basketball coach Pat Estepp. And Pat, last year was a rebuilding year by your standards, but what has been the focus this fall as you look forward to this year?
I think last year was a rebuilding year by a lot of standards, but yeah, we one of the things is just trying to get everybody heading in the right direction in the spring. You know, and I think winning some of our games towards the end of the year and finishing strong gave our guys some confidence that, hey, we're going to be all right if we all keep improving. So, you know, as we approach spring and summer, one of the biggest things we had to get stronger. We just had to get, our guys did a really good job in the weight room, put them on a different kind of strength program. They really worked hard in the off season getting shots. They all came back better. And then from a recruiting standpoint, we just had to add some depth. And we only lost Brian Grant, so it's not like you can lose one guy and bring in a whole bunch. But we were able to bring in two guards that are really quality guys. They're great fits for Cedarville. They're really good players, and they got a chance to make an impact right away, I think, with our team. And just going through the preseason now, just trying to get our guys in good enough shape to play the way we need to play. We're a little small, so we're going to have to probably pick up the pace some. But I think all that they did in the spring, summer, and in fall, they really showed us that they were hungry and they came back ready. They all came back better, the guys that were returning, than they were last year. And then our two freshmen came in ready to play, which was a big addition for us. So.
How would you describe strengths and weaknesses more specifically of this team? What are you going to have to do well to be successful?
Well, I think number one, we're going to have to defend well, and it'll be a different kind of defense. You know, this team doesn't have quite the same size, so we weren't as good in a half-court D last year. We're going to have to be probably still as good as we were last year, but be able to pick up the pace in different ways. Offensively, we're going to have to shoot the three well. You know, we lost Brian Grant, who was, at least when you were struggling on offense, if we get him the ball, he was pretty effective on the low block. So this team's going to have to be a little more perimeter oriented. But the biggest thing from last year to this year is we got to get more guys scoring. You know, we've always been at our best when we've got 4 or 5 guys in double figures. I think this team's capable of that. Marcus may not score quite as much. You know, he and I have talked about that some, but we could be better because we have more guys with the ability to score. And then when you recruit a bunch of scorers, getting guys who are willing to share the ball. And that's been the biggest focus this fall is making the assist kind of the biggest play we got. And our guys have really done a good job moving the ball and being unselfish. So if we can do those things, we'll give ourselves a chance, even though our schedule is really tough early on.
Pat, before we talk about the GMAC schedule, talk about your non-conference scheduling philosophy, because it's usually pretty brutal.
Yeah, I should fire the guy that does the schedule, I think. But we've always approached the pre-conference scheduling as let's go play great teams, because you want to go into the conference play knowing what your weaknesses are. You don't want to have to find those out in February. But we also it's nice to walk into a game and say, hey, they're not better than so-and-so, whoever it is. And when we play those great teams, you find out your weaknesses. Sometimes they give you confidence to say, hey, we can hang. Like last year, even though we were young, we're hanging with Tulane for a while in that game, actually the whole game. So those kind of games, if you can hang with people, can give you a confidence boost, but they also show your weaknesses and get those things so you can fix those problems in November and December rather than February. It's probably last year's schedule was too tough. This year's schedule may be a little too tough early on, but we've also kind of struggled to get games against the middle tier to lower tier teams. We need only the best teams in the GLVC and the GLIAC have been willing to play for a while. This year's a little more balanced, but at the same time, for us, our focus was, hey, we were one of the top 25 teams every year in NAI Division II. We want to be that in Division II, NCAA. The only way to do that is to go head-to-head with them every night. You can't skirt around the best teams and all of a sudden jump them. We got to know what it takes to play at that level. Our freshmen figured that out last year, the guys that are sophomores, and our guys are going to see that this year. What it's going to take to be a top 10, top 20 team, we're going to have plenty of chances to look at that eye to eye on game nights this fall.
Last question, Pat. Your peers picked you third in the GMAC. Tell us about the conference schedule, what you expect this year.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means. I think most of us feel like Kentucky Wesleyan and Audison Broaddus are going to be the top two teams. I think AB will be really dangerous again. Even though they lost Klein to Player of the Year, he does a really tremendous job coaching them, and they got everybody else back. And they were a handful to defend. They really defend you well. Their kids are tough. And then Wesleyan, even though they lost a lot, brought in a lot of talent. A lot of Division I transfers with the freshman of the year in the conference. So those two teams are going to be really good. I think you're going to see a lot of parity with the rest of us. There's a lot of unknowns. Whether our sophomores can really prove that, hey, they got about 2 years experience last year and they're a little more ready than some sophomores are this year. Our freshmen can come in and help. And I don't really know what Central State has. I know the other teams had to replace a lot of guys. So there's a whole lot of unknowns, I think, with the rest of the league. Outside of those two teams. So I would say it's going to be a really competitive league. Those two teams at the top are what everybody's going to be gunning for. And, I don't know that we're the third best team. We got to still go out there and prove that.
Wish you well this season. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.